Parker Schnabel just confronted Kevin Beets face to face over $130,000 in unpaid bills. And Kevin's response nearly ended their relationship on the spot. Instead of apologizing, Kevin looked Parker dead in the eye and told him the late payment was Parker's own fault. Like, what was the plan in January if I sent you an invoice? I had to pay it then. So, how come you didn't pay it last month when I sent it? Because I figured you made us wait so long. You probably weren't hurting for the money. I made you wait so long. Yeah. The tension that followed was unlike anything we've seen on Gold Rush. Parker went ice cold. His whole demeanor shifted, and what he said next made it crystal clear: this wasn't a friendly visit anymore. This was a collection call with a deadline attached. But here's where this whole clash spirals out of control. When Kevin walks inside to tell Faith they need to pay up, she drops a bombshell. The money they set aside for Parker is already gone. Every dollar spent, the money that I've put aside for him, we've already spent it. Hopefully this week we can sluice enough that we can pay him back. Now Kevin has days to mine enough gold to cover the debt before everything between him and Parker explodes. Kevin's collapsing season. Kevin Beets and his wife Faith are running their own mining operation for the first time this year. No safety net. I got big plans to set up a gold mine and run it my way. We do have a 1,000-ounce goal. This is a big gamble, so me and Faith have to make this work. No one else's payroll to fall back on. No Tony Beets standing behind them with decades of experience and a fleet of equipment. They buy their own gear, stake their own ground at Scribner Creek, and for the first few weeks, things go according to plan. Gold is coming in. The wash plant is running. The future of their independent operation looks real. Then the wheels come off. First, Brennan quits the crew. No warning. No transition period. Just gone. Then Caden walks out behind him, and then Buzz, Kevin's only mechanic, the one person on the entire operation who can keep the wash plant alive when it starts breaking down, leaves to go have a baby. 3 key crew members gone in a matter of weeks. Kevin can't replace them. He doesn't have his father Tony Beets' reputation or resources. So far this year, we had Brennan leave, then Caden left us, and now Buzz has gone to go have a baby. I am definitely feeling everybody's absences these days. Tony can line up 10 guys and take his pick. Kevin is stuck making phone calls to people who aren't interested, burning time he doesn't have on a hiring search that goes nowhere. So Kevin absorbs everyone's workload himself. He's running the cut, directing operations, fixing equipment that Buzz used to handle, all while trying to keep morale up for the skeleton crew that stayed. He's the operator, the foreman, and the mechanic, all running on the same 24 hours everyone else gets. The wash plant starts breaking down. Not once. Not twice. For 2 straight weeks, constant mechanical failures shut production down cold. Gold slows to a trickle. Expenses don't. Kevin is spending money every single day on fuel, parts, and payroll, and barely putting any gold in the safe. The financial walls are closing in, and every morning the math looks worse than the day before. That's when a familiar truck rolls up to Scribner Creek, the confrontation. Parker Schnabel has never been to Kevin's operation before. He's never driven the access road to Scribner Creek. Never seen the layout of Kevin's cut. Never set foot on the ground. Kevin and Faith are betting their future on. So when his truck appears on the road that afternoon, dust kicking up behind the tires, Kevin spots it immediately. He knows the truck. He knows the driver. And he knows with absolute certainty that this isn't a social visit. Parker climbs out and walks over with the unhurried pace of someone who's already decided how this conversation is going to go. The pleasantries last about 30 seconds. Parker asks how the season is going. Kevin gives him the only honest answer he's got: spending money, not making any. Parker nods slowly, the way someone does when they're hearing exactly what they expected. That's kind of why I'm here. Kevin's stomach drops. I kind of figured. Here's what makes this moment so loaded. Last season, when Kevin and Faith were first building their independent operation, they needed equipment desperately. They were starting from scratch. No inventory. No surplus. No fallback. Parker offered them a deal: a bucket, a ripper, and a rock truck. Kevin tried to negotiate the price down from $110,000 to $15,000. Parker shut it down cold. I don't haggle. Buy it or don't buy it. I don't really care. I have been looking at that one the hardest. Tires might need air and stuff. Price is the same. 110, go 105. I don't haggle. Buy it or don't buy it. I don't really care. A beat of silence. The kind of silence where you can hear the wind moving across the tailings pile behind them. Kevin bought it. He didn't really have a choice. When you're building an operation from the ground up with your wife and a skeleton crew, you take what's offered, even when the man offering it makes it clear he couldn't care less whether you say yes or no. Parker told Kevin he didn't need to pay up front. Start a tab. Pay it off by end of season. Handshake deal. Minor to minor, those are 11 grand. 11 grand is a good deal for that one. You don't need to pay for anything now. You start a tab. Appreciate that. Really do. I'm more than happy. I know how hard it is when you're first starting out. That's awesome. By the time Kevin finished buying everything he needed, the total debt had climbed close to $130,000. End of season came and went. The bill didn't get paid. Weeks turned into months. 6 months passed and Parker hadn't seen a dime. Now he's standing face to face with Kevin on Kevin's own claim. The Yukon sun hanging low behind the tree line. And he wants one simple thing: his money. Kevin's response is bold. Maybe too bold that he looks Parker square in the eye. You also didn't send us a bill until a couple weeks ago. And if we don't have an invoice, it's kind of hard to just send money your way. Parker doesn't respond immediately. His hands, which had been resting loosely at his sides, move to his hips. His weight shifts to his back foot. His expression doesn't change, but his posture shifts, shoulders squaring, chin lifting half an inch. It's subtle. The kind of body language most people wouldn't catch on camera. But Kevin catches it. And he knows he just crossed the line. It's been like a month, Kevin. Kevin pushes back. Which was 5 months late. And then Kevin says the thing that changes the entire energy of the conversation: I figured you made us wait so long. You probably weren't hurting for the money. Parker repeats the words back slowly, deliberately, like he's picking each one up, examining it, and setting it down on a table between them. I made you wait so long. The silence that follows stretches out for 3, maybe 4 seconds. In normal conversation, that's nothing. Standing outside a mining trailer in the Yukon with $130,000 hanging in the air, it's an eternity. Parker's eyes don't leave Kevin's face. There's no anger in his expression. It's something colder than anger. It's the look of a man recalculating exactly where someone stands in his estimation. A mental ledger being rewritten in real time. Parker has spent $4.5 million this spring alone. Chasing down $130,000 from someone he helped is like searching through seat cushions for loose change, because I have managed to spend like $4.5 million so far this spring, and now I'm tracking down 130 grand. It's like the equivalent of looking through the seat cushions. But it's not about the amount. It never was. It's about what Kevin just said: that Parker's own delay somehow justified Kevin not paying. That lands like an insult, whether Kevin meant it as one or not. And Parker Schnabel is not a man who forgets insults. Parker exhales through his nose and resets. Thursday, he says. Pay. Not a request. A deadline. Kevin hesitates. Let me double-check with Faith. Parker's jaw tightens again. If you want, we can both go check. Kevin nods, buying time, but Parker isn't done. He takes half a step forward. Not aggressive, but deliberate. Closing the distance just enough to make the next words land harder. Kevin. Thursday. I need an answer, not a maybe. The message is clear. Parker extended a favor. He waited 6 months. He sent the invoice. He drove all the way out here. And now he's hearing the word maybe from a man who owes him 6 figures. There aren't going to be any more maybes. Kevin holds his gaze for a beat, then turns toward the trailer. Give me 2 seconds. Parker doesn't follow. He stands exactly where he is, arms crossed, watching Kevin walk away across the gravel. The body language says everything. Parker is done being patient. And whatever goodwill existed between these two men is evaporating in real time. The money is gone. Kevin finds Faith inside the trailer. She's not feeling well and hasn't been on site all day. He steps in and closes the door behind him. Through the thin walls, they can both hear Parker's truck idling outside. Parker just dropped by. He wants paid for the rock truck and everything else we bought from him last year. Hey, Faith. Parker just dropped by. He wanted to get paid for the rock truck and other things we bought from him last year. MHM. He kind of sees his finances, but it kind of up ours. Faith sits up slowly. She reads Kevin's face for a second before she speaks. How much time did you give him? Thursday. Faith closes her eyes. When she opens them, her voice is low and controlled, the voice of someone who already knows the answer to the question she's about to ask. Kevin, the money I put aside for him, we already spent it. You know that, right? Kevin knows. Of course he knows. The cash they had earmarked for Parker got swallowed months ago. Fuel. Payroll. Emergency repairs. Replacement parts for the wash plant. When gold production stalls for 2 weeks straight and you're 3 crew members short, reserves don't last. They evaporate one emergency at a time, each one pulling from the same shrinking pile until there's nothing left to pull from. Hopefully this week we can sluice enough to cover it, Kevin says. Faith doesn't argue. She doesn't raise her voice. But she leans forward and looks at Kevin with an expression that says she needs him to understand the gravity of what he's just committed to. Then we need to run that plant every hour we've got. No more shutdowns. No more downtime. If we're paying Parker by Thursday, everything else waits. Kevin nods. This is their partnership laid bare. No sugarcoating. No blame. Just 2 people staring down a $130,000 wall and deciding together to find a way over it. Faith isn't panicking and she isn't pretending things are fine. She's doing what she always does, cutting straight to what needs to happen next. Kevin steps back outside. Parker is still standing in the same spot, arms still crossed, gravel crunching under his boots as he shifts his weight. The conversation is brief. Kevin commits to Thursday. Parker doesn't smile. He doesn't say thank you. He nods once, turns, walks back to his truck, and drives off Scribner Creek the same way he arrived, without ceremony. But here's the catch: Parker doesn't care about invoices or timelines or who sent what when. In Parker's mind, the equation has always been simple. He did Kevin a favor. He extended credit he didn't have to extend. Sold equipment at a fair price and asked for nothing upfront. 6 months later, instead of a check, he got an excuse. Whether the excuse is valid doesn't change the balance sheet. The debt is the debt. Race against the clock back at Scribner Creek. The clock is ticking louder than ever. Kevin's crew fires up the wash plant and starts pushing dirt as fast as the machinery will allow. Every ounce of gold they pull from the ground is one step closer to getting Parker off their back. Faith's instructions echo in Kevin's head. Run the plant every hour we've got. No more shutdowns. No more downtime. For the first day, it works. Dirt moves. The sluice runs. Gold accumulates in the box. Kevin allows himself a sliver of hope that this week will deliver what they need, and then the wash plant shuts down again. The call comes over the radio and Kevin's grip tightens on the excavator controls. Kevin, got a problem at the plant. We're shutting it down. Of all the times for another mechanical failure, with Parker's Thursday deadline looming and no mechanic on site, copy, Kevin. Got a problem at the plant. We're shutting it down. Someone grab me a shovel. This is the absolute worst. Every hour the plant sits idle is an hour of gold they can't get back. Kevin climbs down, grabs a shovel, and heads to the plant to diagnose it himself. There's no one else. Buzz is gone. The crew can run equipment, but when something breaks, it falls on Kevin. The problem turns out to be the skid plate on the pre-wash. Dirt has compacted underneath, pushing the plate out of alignment and choking off material flow. This skid plate is not lying flat. It's built up. And you wouldn't think it, going from like this to this, will make that much of a difference, but it is very noticeable when this mat lays flat on the pre-wash versus when it is like it is now. Even a fraction of an inch at the wrong angle is enough to shut production down entirely. Kevin makes a call. Instead of patching it, instead of doing the quick fix that will get them running for another day before the same problem comes back, he pulls the plate out completely, clears the compacted material, and replaces the rubber mat with a steel plate. Permanent fix.it takes longer. It costs him hours he doesn't have. But it means this particular problem won't come back to bite him at the worst possible moment again. When Kevin hits the switch to restart the plant, he holds his breath. 3 seconds of silence, then the machine roars back to life. Material flows clean and straight into the shaker deck. No buildup. No choking. No alarms. Kevin exhales. They're back online, and now the real push begins. The crew works through the rest of the week in focused silence, the kind of quiet that only settles over an operation when everyone knows exactly what's at stake. No complaints. No shortcuts. No wasted motion. Just raw, relentless work. Kevin runs the plant from first light until the Yukon darkness finally forces them to stop. He's in the cut on the excavator, checking the sluice, monitoring the plant, everywhere at once, filling every gap his missing crew left behind. And get this, through all of it, Kevin never once mentions the debt to his crew. He doesn't tell them about Parker's visit. He doesn't explain why they're suddenly running at this pace that he just pushes, and they push with him, and the goal slowly, painfully starts to add up. But whether it adds up fast enough is a question Kevin won't be able to answer until cleanup day, and cleanup day is coming. Whether he's ready or not, the weigh-in cleanup day arrives, and the tension at Scribner Creek is suffocating. Kevin needs 36 ounces of gold to cover the full $130,000 debt. Anything less, and he's making a phone call he does not want to make. Faith is there for the weigh-in. She stands on the opposite side of the table, arms folded tight against her chest, watching every gram hit the scale. She hasn't said much all morning. She doesn't need to. Her presence says it. This is their future sitting on that scale, and they both know it. The first batch of pickings hits the tray. It's a painfully small pile for what's supposed to represent weeks of grinding, backbreaking work. The digital readout settles 7.32 ounces, but I don't think it was going to quite cover Parker's bill. Kevin stares at the number. Not enough. Not even in the ballpark. 7 ounces after everything they've been through, the crew losses, the shutdowns, the 18-hour days, but there's more gold waiting from earlier runs. And everything is about to go on the scale at once. He adds the rest. The numbers start climbing. 8 ounces. 10. 12. 18. 20. 22. 26. 27. Faith hasn't moved. Her eyes track the readout the way a surgeon watches a heart monitor, steady, focused, reading every flicker for meaning. 27.57 ounces. When he opens his eyes, Faith is looking at him, not with disappointment, but with the steady, measured expression of someone who already knew this was coming and is already 3 steps ahead, solving the problem before the emotion hits. Worth $97,000. The gold doesn't lie. It never does. That's $31,000 short of what they owe Parker. $31,000. The weight of that number settles over the room like a physical thing. After the crew shortages, the wash plant breakdowns, the mechanical failures Kevin fixed with his own 2 hands, the weeks of pushing his body and his operation to the absolute limit, after all of it, the ground gave back everything it could, and it still wasn't quite enough. Kevin straightens up. He rolls his shoulders back, takes a breath, and looks at Faith. The number isn't what they wanted, but it's what they've got. And Kevin Beets has never been the type to stand around wishing the scale said something different. I should probably sell this quick. Faith nods. Yeah, probably. There's no debate. No weighing of options. No hand-wringing. Kevin will sell the 27.57 ounces, combine it with whatever cash is sitting in their bank account, and scrape together enough to settle the debt. It won't be comfortable. It will probably clean them out entirely, zeroing their operating budget right in the middle of the season, but the alternative, calling Parker and telling him the money's short, isn't something either of them is willing to do. Kevin heads out to make the sale. Faith stays behind to close up the gold room. At the door, Kevin pauses without turning around, still annoyed he showed up calling us 6 months late when he didn't send the invoice till last month. Faith doesn't look up from the table. Just pay the man, Kevin. He nods and he's gone. Was Kevin wrong to push back on Parker about the invoice? Not entirely. If you don't send a bill for 5 months, you lose the moral high ground on late payments. That's not an excuse. It's a fact, but Parker isn't wrong either. A handshake deal is a handshake deal. When someone sells you equipment on credit they didn't have to extend, you pay it back. You don't spend the money on something else and then point fingers about paperwork. Trust is the currency that makes deals possible in the Yukon. And once it's gone, it doesn't come back easy. What makes this clash so compelling is that neither man is willing to admit the other has a point. Pride meets principle in the middle of the Yukon, and $130,000 sits right between them. Both men walk away thinking they were right. Both men carry the weight of knowing the other man wasn't completely wrong, but neither one will say it out loud. Money has a way of revealing what people are really made of. The gold always gets between people eventually. It's not a question of if. It's a question of when. Do you think Kevin made the right call pushing back on Parker, or should he have just paid the man? Drop your take in the comments.